Biz the Riot podcast, and I'm. What are you owing about? You tell me.
Just that is our podcast.
Yeah, so make sure that you give, or this podcast goes away forever.
See, that's the no. I could turn that into an ominous one.
Hey, Obadiah, that's rough. Tell me about it.
So if you want to help and support, we're actually really, truly, honestly getting ready to finish up our spring fundraiser. We'll be back on Monday with a normal podcast, but until then, we've got what we've got because we're busy fundraising to make sure RadioU stays on the air, which is the Riot on RadioU, and which is the Riot podcast.
Inside today's show, I'm thrilled that one of our Worst of the Riot segments is about the little Jared Mark that lives in my head.
Is that the one that made it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, he still lives there.
He does.
He's still in there. He's still talking to me about coffee.
So that's fair.
Rat bites at Chipotle, coffee overdoses, and the home toilet advantage.
That's it.
And that's an important one, guys.
It is.
Also, new stuff from today. We actually get a double round of COVID, and that symbolizes both shots that I'll have had. And then we talk about Nikki and the purple iPhone.
And we talk about COVID and Mount Everest.
Yeah, Mount Everest. There's no escape.
Yeah, purple iPhone.
Yeah,
it's better if
COVID-19.
you pick the nicer thing out of all of it.
What? Yeah, fundraiser.
Good enough.
Yeah, RadioU.com. Click on donate.
So please support. Otherwise, enjoy the podcast today. And thank you for listening. And thanks for letting us take the time out of our normally longer podcast to be able to fundraise.
All right. You guys enjoy, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
The Riot isn't all bad, but this is the Worst of the Riot. RadioU.
Jared Mark there. He's been around. We know him. In fact, right here, I'm sitting in this chair, and 2, maybe 3 years ago, maybe not that long, he rolled a cart into this room.
A coffee cart?
A coffee cart. And from behind that coffee cart, he taught me a lot of things about coffee. And to be honest, looked down on me multiple times when I discussed my coffee, how I drank it, things of that nature.
And it always bugged you ever since. Is that it?
Then, last week, here I am in the studio living my best life, and I see this tweet from Jared Mark that he is out there drinking Folgers coffee that he's brewing in a Mr. Coffee pot.
Which would be not the Jared we would know from previous years.
And, okay, people live their life. It's fine. But every once in a while, something comes along that sticks in my craw.
Does it bug you?
And I can't stop thinking about it.
Why?
Well,
so he's making coffee like normal.
I can't tell you how many times over the last couple of years that I have gone to make coffee, and the ghost of Jared's disdain has joined me at my coffee making station.
You hear his voice every time?
To criticize me over how the coffee is being prepared.
Listen, guys, you don't know how when you say something to someone, it'll affect them.
And so many times I have tried to please the Jared that lives in my head to show it that I'm doing the best I can with what I have.
Sure.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Now, his response was, in 2020, this is it. This is just what he's doing right now. So it's not maybe a forever thing. Maybe he'll get back into more creative ways to make his coffee.
Well, and that's the part that's hard. Now he's like, I'm drinking Folgers, which even I am like, bro, come on. Even I, with my low standards, have a higher standard than Folgers. Okay. And he's putting it in a Mr. Coffee pot.
Well, what if, though, that's amazing? What if, we all
can confirm, not amazing.
There's other types of Folgers. What if you got a different type? What if they always say like there's that, it's not midnight, but there's like this one type of the canned coffee that's supposed to be amazing. Yeah. And what if the Mr. Coffee pot is like, there's a reason why everybody uses them.
Well, we have a Mr. Coffee pot. The reason you use them is they're cheap and they're everywhere.
And then if
you buy them at Costco and it breaks, you can take it back and get another one.
You take it back and not feel bad about it.
Now, I say all this to say now the ghost of little Jared that lives inside me when I make coffee, he and I are now having, like, he was gone for a while. Now, every time I make coffee, he's right there.
Because you're thinking he's making it.
All I'm doing is I'm thinking about Jared and I'm thinking about him drinking Folgers and I'm pouring my coffee in and I'm just like, somewhere right now, Jared's drinking Folgers.
As you're doing a pour over.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do all that.
What? I don't know if I should be grateful for the journey he took me on or be angry for the way he betrayed me in the middle
You're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to work that out.
I don't know, but you know what? It's fine. Like what I probably should do is talk to the real Jared instead of the Jared that lives inside my head.
Yeah, and then you'll find out.
But
so Jeremy texted, "That's the one. Folgers Black Silk. Everybody says that one's really good."
Sure, it is.
Open up your heart. Maybe it is.
Thing is, you know what? It's really good. Now, up until now, we've just been drinking. I just go out, I get a shovel full of dirt, I put it in the coffee maker, and we drink that.
Hey.
But we just got this Folgers Black Silk. Wow! Woo!
Maybe it's better.
Maybe it is.
Now, don't you become how Jared was years ago.
I'm not. Except I have a standard. It's just a low standard. We have to do better than Folgers, but it'll do in a pinch.
Obadiah and Nikki tried their hardest, and that's what really matters. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
Now, Nikki, Apple is also running a match challenge. They would like to give you a new Apple TV that looks exactly like your old one to sit next to your old one.
Now, it's a unique challenge. It's not like here where, someone might be helping by matching your donation. There, it's all you, and you got to come up with all of it.
You absolutely do.
There's no help.
So they had their spring forward press conference yesterday.
Yeah.
Snoozer.
Well, it just wasn't as exciting.
It's not. It is not. Like they have yet again to come up with something that they had too many great press conferences. The iPhone, the iPad, things. And how do you top that?
Well, I mean, they continue to add stuff. It's just
Apple Watch.
It's just very hard to. There's nothing like innovative. It's all just updated versions of things that are currently out there, which is good if you need a new thing.
Well, Nikki, that's not entirely true. Like, isn't this is innovative? What about an iPhone 12 that's purple?
Actually,
innovation.
If anybody in this room would want that, it's me. It's my favorite color.
Is it really?
Yeah, purple.
Okay.
It's not black like you would think because that's all I wear, but no, it's purple.
Purple. So you're telling me that
I could have been swayed to have the purple phone. I could have.
Okay. All right.
I'm still within my window of I can't
tell you how excited they are to hear that.
Well, no, I can't get it. Like, I'd have to wait a year. So I'm not going to get it, but it does look nice.
They did unveil their new thing yesterday was Apple's AirTags, which, I mean, that's not a new piece of tech. It's just new for Apple. The idea is that it's a little something you buy that you can hook on something and then you can get a GPS tracking out of it, which is cool. Then they showed off iOS 14.5. That'll happen next week. New Macs will have Touch ID so you can use your fingerprint to sign in. Whoopity-doo-dah.
Whoopee.
And they showed an all-new iPad Pro that's even faster than the last iPad Pro.
That's it. That's basically it.
This one's faster than that one was.
Well, they were at least excited.
Sure. I mean, let's face it. You have to do that. You got to keep updating the thing or whatever. It's just...
And now that you don't have to spend money on anything new right now, there's money to give to RadioU. Yay! You don't feel torn between the two.
You don't have to be. The only thing in this lineup that was something that I was eyeballing was the new Apple TV 4K, because I currently have one and I love that thing. Well, the update honestly is like, no, just stay with this one.
Yeah, meaning there's not enough updates to make it worth spending more money on it.
The Riot with Obadiah and Nikki on RadioU.
So the all-important question, if you got bitten, that's probably regional. I done got bit.
I don't know. Whichever way you want to say it.
So, rat bite at work, as Jerome is saying, he says that he would quit, by the way. Would you leave your job? Well, it seems like just a theoretical question, but at a Chipotle in New York City, it was real.
And there's pictures, and it's a real big rat.
They had
more than one.
4 people that got a rat bite.
So they're saying at this location, it was a infestation, a overtaking of the place with rats.
They've got pictures of avocados that have had big bites taken out of them.
Who doesn't like an avocado? Who Who doesn't like that? You can forgive them for that.
Well, what else is that rat going to put on its toast?
Better to eat that than. And have you seen the prices still? I mean, it's always expensive, but better for them to eat the avocados than you.
Yeah, and no, really, there is 4009 Broadway in New York. That is a restaurant where Chipotle is. It went from being like we're thinking about closing it to nah.
Well, I think it was one where orders were just going out. I don't know if you could go.
Oh, you don't know that it was an inn?
I don't know
like
for a while if you could go there, but, John texted and said, I don't quit, but I definitely tell someone. The problem is the managers and everybody there, they said, knew all about this. So telling someone there wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah, it sounds like, hey, I just saw a rat. And they're like, hey, good for you. Good times.
Good. Are you going back to work now? So a lot of people were very upset that their safety and the cleanliness of the location for Chipotle was not being adhered to.
They say they killed dozens of the rats by stomping on them, hitting them with broom handles, and dropping boxes on them.
Aw, and based on the pictures, again, these weren't like, I didn't think they get this big, except in movies. I didn't know they were like that. So, you know, when you go to squish a spider and you're like, sorry, spider, but it's just easy. I can't imagine you're actually killing a pretty big creature here. It's a lot to ask employees.
ROUSs? Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
So I think normally what would have been done is you would have closed and a company would have come in, take care of the problem. But
yes.
They said that that's not what was happening and people were getting mad. I would do exactly what someone finally did. You make a stink about it online. Because they're not paying attention or caring. This place still stayed open, but once it started to make the rounds for social media, it finally closed down.
That's the thing about social media. On the one hand, I hate it. On the other, it's the only equalizer left in society.
Sometimes it's the only way to get something done.
All of a sudden, a company finds out there's a picture of you taking a bath in the sink at Wendy's. You've done it for 10 years. It's your whole life.
Now someone's saying no.
Now there's a picture and it's a big deal.
I forgot about that one.
Whatever.
Well, Keith, good call on this. I just retire from the multi-million-dollar lawsuit settlement. I would for sure, if you got bit, there's protocol that should be followed if you were bit by a rat at work.
Protocol was you drop a box on it.
That's not it. You should be going to the doctor. How can you go to a doctor now, though? It's so hard. It'd be like 2 days later if you were negative with your test, then you could finally get in your poor rat bite.
Do you have COVID? No, but I think I have rabies. You're fine. Stay home.
You're fine. You're going to wait a few days and we'll teledoc you. You're like, but how can you tell?
Wait, is that foam at the corner of your mouth? Nah.
No, you're fine then.
Some shaving cream you missed.
But I would for sure be a part of something.
What you're about to hear will live on the internet forever. Sorry, Internet. The worst of the Riot podcast.
We're on, it's either the 4th or the 400th wave of COVID. I'm not sure. And we're either close to beating it or COVID's going to be around forever.
It depends on the day and who you hear from and which area you're talking about. It does change quite frequently.
It really does.
But you just don't know.
You don't. But, Nikki, how about this? They have had, this kind of blows my mind. You think about, there are places you could go where it's like, there's no COVID here.
Yeah.
No COVID here.
Well, you assume there'd have to be a safe spot somewhere.
No. The last safe spot's gone now.
Where is it?
The base camp at Mount Everest.
How would you even get there if you had it? Would you not be able to manage the trek even to base camp?
You would think that. But the base camp at Mount Everest, they've had their first case of COVID.
Wow. So that person was traveling that whole time?
So they have willingly kept the source of the COVID anonymous.
Oh, the person?
Yes. And so they at first thought that they were suffering from HAPE. HAPE.
Is that
high altitude pulmonary edema?
I'm sure it actually probably looks pretty similar.
They were evacuated by helicopter to a hospital in Nepal. When they were there, they were tested for COVID, and boom, they had COVID.
So now, it was a climber, though?
Yeah. So now everybody at base camp has to quarantine at base camp.
Oh, my gosh. Which I think you have to stay there to just adjust anyways. But, geez, not for that long.
It's crazy. And they say it's even more dangerous.
And you complain if you had to quarantine at home where you're comfortable at normal altitude.
They say that it's even more dangerous because it's such a high, even base camp
is high.
The altitude is so high that the concern is that if you would come down with COVID, it could kill you because you can't breathe.
Yeah.
So it's very serious.
That's when I would take the walk down to the lower base camp called the town. And I would have to quarantine there. I would wait there.
I guess
I don't want to stay on base camp.
I guess what we're saying is that if, you've been thinking about heading up to Mount Everest because you thought, at least there I'll be safe. No.
I was thinking some sort of remote island, not a lot of people. In fact, no one. Really, it's just you.
Well, just you and your servants.
Your mansion.
The people that are there to care for you, but they have to be tested 14 times a day.
Well, I mean, you'd just probably be safer there. No in and out travel. Just basically you living there. I didn't think Everest at the.
It wasn't at the front.
It wasn't the place that I would think would be the safest. I think it's dangerous there, putting COVID aside anyways. It's just dangerous.
Oh, let me tell you what happens. At least this was my experience. When I was young, I broke both of my arms different times and had to have reconstructive surgery. So any illusion that I have ever had about being invincible and or recovering quickly, gone.
Not doing it.
So when you tell me it's time to climb a rock, I'm like, you know what? You go up, and I'll be here when you get back down.
I have a rock here. Who are you to tell me what size this rock needs to be?
If I was an ant, this would be quite a rock.
I know. This would be Mount Everest right there.
It's all about perspective.
So first case of COVID at the base camp for Mount Everest.
Wild.
Giving every novelty food the publicity it so blatantly desires. It's The Riot on Radio U.
Nikki, I'm going to give you a list of symptoms. I want you to see if you can guess what these are symptoms of.
Okay.
Irritability.
Oh.
Fever. Headache. Insomnia.
Yeah.
Increased thirst.
Yeah.
Your favorite. Diarrhea.
No.
Dizziness.
Mm-hmm. Is it COVID stuff? Or?
It's not. It's a caffeine overdose.
It's a caffeine overdose. Wow, really?
Yeah.
Basically, you're like dehydrating yourself, so probably some of that is from dehydration.
Yeah. I don't think I had a full-blown one, but I was pretty close to a caffeine overdose yesterday. I drank a pot of coffee in the morning. I also drank essentially 2 44-ounce drinks while I was here. That was
really?
Just in the morning.
Oh, so you had too much.
Oh, I was so tired.
But it didn't fix it, and you kept trying, and you were in a cycle.
I was trying.
It was awful.
So it's a thing out there.
Yeah.
It didn't help.
It
did. Like I was awake.
Sure. But how much do they say really starts to... Like, how much caffeine do you really need to hit those symptoms might be what you notice?
Well, they say in a healthy adult, you should be able to have 400 milligrams of coffee per day.
Let's say we're not the healthiest. We're close, but we're not completely.
Well, if you're a pregnant woman, you should keep it to 200 milligrams a day.
Oh, I didn't think you're supposed to even have that much. Wow.
I don't know. So 200 milligrams a day and no more than 2 bottles of wine.
That's it.
No, that's not true. So the half-life of caffeine in your blood ranges from 1.5 to 9 hours. Mm-hmm. So that is half-life is something that they're able to usually, what's the word I want? Like predict accurately. And then after that, a lot of factors get involved. So let's take a look at some caffeine here. Cup of black coffee could be anywhere from 50 to 200 milligrams of coffee.
Just remember, normally the size of your coffee is you think that you're drinking 1 cup of coffee, but you're not. You usually can get 2 or 3 in what you think is 1 serving.
Well, they say that's a 12-ounce cup because finally somebody somewhere is getting realistic about how we're drinking our coffee.
Because normally it was not so much.
Black tea, you get 30 to 80 milligrams. Soda, 12 ounces. So that would be a can of soda, 30 to 70 milligrams. Red Bull, just the crappy little can, 80 milligrams.
Yeah.
A bar of chocolate.
Bring in the bangs, because that's where That's where the numbers
Who
are
the heck knows?
shocking.
Who the heck
They're
knows?
shocking.
Bang, I actually I think it's delicious.
Oh, Eric's on it right now.
It's so good.
He loves this key lime one. It's just something.
Oh, it's amazing. And yet it's one of those things that I can't.
Well, it's hard because you're not just drinking that. That's what everybody has to watch. You have a couple of cans of those, and then you're having coffee, and then you're having normal soda. So it just all adds up during the day. And before you know it, you're dizzy and you need some water.
Other items on the list: no-dose caffeine tablets, 200 milligrams each. Excedrin migraine, 65 milligrams. So there is a list of caffeine, but you got to be careful because you don't want to OD on caffeine. They also say, get a load of this. These are the more serious things that can happen. Those are the light symptoms.
Yeah.
You can also have trouble breathing, hallucinations, chest pain, uncontrollable muscle movements, convulsions.
Oh, that's awful.
So just be careful.
Oh, because some of the other symptoms, it's just
You'll get over it.
just a day. Like, who hasn't had
A day.
a terrible day like that just based on other things? So,
Quite frankly, that day probably was bad before you started because you needed all that caffeine.
well, and then you keep going. You feel the effects of how much caffeine you had the day before. So then you're feeling some of these symptoms. You feel worse. So what do? The next morning you wake up and then you need a little bit more to kind of combat it.
Well, I haven't had any coffee yet. I'm going for some now.
Okay.
So
but we're doing less than we did yesterday?
Well, already.
You're less than yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday, you know what? I lost control.
And you're back today, though.
Today, I'm back.
Back and stronger and able to handle it.
It's fine.
The equivalent of someone's lint collection. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Nikki, as friends and coworkers, I feel like you and I need to have a little chat.
About?
Now, first off,
It's not good?
It's not you. It's me.
Okay, well, that's what everybody says when it is the other person.
No, it really is me. Tomorrow's my day.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's the day.
Obi gets his second vaccine shot.
It is the dumbest scheduled medical procedure I've ever had. It's almost as dumb as that time I got my wisdom teeth out right before Thanksgiving.
You mean because, tomorrow's Thursday, a big important day for the fundraiser.
It is.
Friday mornings, the most important time of the fundraiser. So it really just depends on how your body reacts.
So I'm going to go. Oh my God.
It's in between, right?
Yes. So then I'll come back tomorrow afternoon and then come back on Friday morning. I've already decided. I'm just like, look, I'm getting all the ibuprofen, the acetaminophen, the whatever it takes.
Maybe you should start pre-dosing now. Just pre-start ready.
It was okay. Just to be clear, they don't let you pick. So it's not like I got to say, oh, I'm sorry, that's not going to work for me.
Oh, for the time that your second shot happens. Yeah, they schedule you.
They're just like, this is when you're coming. We'll see you then. So I got to go. But
well, now this could be different. Everybody else who hasn't had COVID, your second shot is supposed to be the worst, where
that's the theory.
Up to 24, 48 hours, you start feeling something and you're maybe not good for a day or the weekend. But because Obi had COVID, the first shot, you had problems then. You didn't feel good with it.
It wasn't the worst.
Did you look up anybody else who's had the same thing? Was their second shot also bad, or did you already get that all out of the way?
You know what? Let's Google that. That way we can build some false expectations.
Do you think it'd be good expectations or bad?
I don't know, but let's get them started.
Forum? I want to hear people's opinions about this.
I'll tell you, I've started leaving the long hauler COVID forums.
Because you don't want to see it anymore?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's true.
Because here's where I'm at. I'm still taking my stupid temperature every stupid morning.
Everybody has to.
I know, but I'm not taking it any other time during the day. It's just whatever. They said I can be fevered and still go out and lick the doorposts and whatever I want to do. So I'm out there, I'm licking your door handles. But I don't want to hear about it anymore.
You don't want to.
No offense to anybody who's struggling. I've been there. I've just decided to struggle in silence rather than hear from other people that are struggling.
We were kind of kidding, but Andrea was saying, just don't pre-dose with Tylenol. You're not supposed to have that before your shot, but you can have it probably after.
Why not?
I just think you're not supposed to.
Says who, though?
Well, she's a nurse.
And who are you to tell me? Oh,
relax.
Sorry.
Everybody doesn't know that energy is teasing right there.
Let's see.
So thanks, Andrea, for the reminder.
Just in case you're not kidding, do not pre-dose with Tylenol, ibuprofen, aspirin. Heart a nurse. Are you saying you are a nurse, or you just want me to love a nurse because you're supporting nurses?
I guess we'll find out tomorrow what happens.
I won't be pre-dosing.
I think you'll be fine until maybe like Friday afternoon. And the fundraiser will be over by then.
You know what? Last time, that's the way it worked. I did fine. I ended up being sick on the Friday night. But even then, it wasn't, aside from the fact that I thought my head was eventually going to pound off of my body.
Sure, of course.
I was fine.
Yeah, which, again.
So really nothing to worry about.
Can we have the Tylenol after?
Yes,
so
you can.
You
You
can
totally
help
can.
with the headache.
In fact, they told me that when I got there, like, treat symptoms with Tylenol, which it doesn't work for COVID headaches. It totally doesn't.
Maybe there's something else.
Oh.
Maybe like a slushie or a milkshake.
You know what?
That'll help.
Meet us out back. We've got something that'll help.
You almost missed hearing this one. We just couldn't let that happen. The worst of the riot. Radio U.
I'm not really sure where to start this discussion, so I'll start here with a little something my friend Brad calls the HTA. The HTA is the home toilet advantage. And Nikki, you understand it.
I don't want to. First off, I'm special. I just don't use the bathroom.
Sure.
So as in a lot of people maybe. But I also, if I had to, I don't like to just use it outside of the house.
Yes.
You just don't know what's going on.
That's why you're a firm believer in the HTA.
Yeah. If you can hold it, just wait till you get home. But we're on vacation. Still hold it.
Yeah, but I feel like sometimes the HTA can relocate a little bit. Like you're in a hotel and after a couple of days, your body is like, this is a safe place.
And you have your approved restaurants where you're okay, but you have your no-nos like the gas stations and some restaurants, depending on locations, where if they're not following protocol on a national level about the cleanliness.
Radio U's first floor. Places you don't want to go.
You can use here's fine. This is home base too. This one counts.
Okay. Now, there's a woman in Australia that is having a home built there.
Yeah.
And they're nearing completed stages. And she and her husband, of course, as part of the construction, they have to pay for a porta potty that lives outside.
Oh, yeah. For the
construction workers.
For the workers, sure.
But once the construction was done on the plumbing and stuff, and the toilets were installed, she went in and put seals on
the thing?
Yeah. Because she didn't want
the construction workers
using her bathroom.
Sure. Well, okay. I will tell you this. There's construction in my family, so I understand this problem. I was a part of a conversation where a place had not sealed some of the bathroom stuff off. And what sometimes happens is if it's fair game, it's just open, a lot of times they'll just pee into the bathtub and just use that instead of the toilet. So it's very common. If you don't seal it off, then you could just go anywhere then.
This is going a very different direction than I thought it would.
So part of me understands it should somewhat be sealed sometimes if they're still providing bathrooms somewhere else.
Well, Nikki, I have a letter here from the homeowner to the guys working on the house.
Now, if she wasn't nice about it, was she not being nice?
She says the toilets in this house are not rightfully yours.
Oh, don't say that.
We're paying for an outdoor toilet for you. Not only did you take the virginity of our toilets, but you disrespectfully ignored the seal sign, ripped the tape, and continued using it.
I feel like there's a little anger there.
When I read that, I was like, Nikki understands.
That's your home toilet.
She doesn't want people interfering with her home toilet advantage. Maybe this lady's a little more passionate, or maybe she's just more outspoken.
I wouldn't have been like that, especially if you weren't moved in yet. That's as long as everybody has an understanding.
The issue there, I think, is that maybe just talk to the construction foreman or supervisor because, these guys are working on the rest of your house.
Yeah, you don't want to make everybody angry right away.
Maybe it doesn't work out for you.
Or they'll just use the sink. Who knows? There might have been issues.
It's always funny to me to find the places where you and I are naive. Mm-hmm. And for me, I just want you to know that you just took a little more of my innocence when you told me that the construction guys were peeing in the
tub, in the shower. Yeah. That's just what they do. If the toilets even aren't working yet. That
wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot of times. And let's just say there isn't necessarily water to wash it down.
So it's just hanging?
Yeah, just there.
So basically, you just paid, who even knows how much, for a sewer, a construction worker sewer.
But it depends on your setup.
And you take off all your clothes and put your bare feet on it day after day.
And it just feels like they're probably angry about a bunch of stuff if they didn't try to talk it out already. I'm not sure if that's going to work.
I don't know, Nikki. I feel like if I sent you to Australia, that you and this lady
I could mediate that, and I think I could really make a positive out what was a negative. I think I could help.
And you could bridge that gap because you understand the construction side, but you also know what it's like to have somebody.
Side.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Thanks for listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Oh no, I missed it. Do it again.
You can hear us live every day on the RadioU network through the RadioU app or at riot.radiou.com.
You're going to pay with your soul.